Thank you all. So thank you for joining us again. This is the first of this week's parent meetings. As a reminder, again, just want to say to everyone, we're being recorded and it will be posted online later for parents who are unable to attend. I want to make sure everyone is aware of that. Today, we're going to talk about a few topics. I'm going to share some additional information about the graduation decision, what we know about that right now, and excuse me, some of the preliminary work that we have done with our graduation planning team at BCC. I'm going to revisit Chromebook distribution again because I want to continue to have that message out because we do have a significant number of students who are not accessing it, or we're finding out later don't have access to that. I'm going to talk about closing out the third marking period, revisit again fourth marking period grades, especially in light of the Board of Education's decision yesterday, share some information about summer programs that we have at BCC, and also answer previously submitted parent questions. And that's actually only one that we had this morning, so we'll go through those. So in terms of just an announcement about graduation, just want to make sure everyone's aware that on Sunday, MCPS announced in their weekly email that all schools will hold a virtual graduation in early June with an in-person celebration later when those are allowed. That virtual graduation is actually going to be a hybrid model, and portions of the graduation ceremony will be common across all schools. If you've been to an MCPS graduation before, such as the superintendent will have recorded remarks, member of the Board of Education will do the actual conference of the diplomas, which is the legal language that has to be done. And there'll be a couple of other pieces that are common for all schools. What is important to know, though, is that there will be portions of the program that are unique for each school. So BCC will be able to take some of the things that are tradition and things that are important to us at BCC and include that as part of the ceremony. So while there will be a virtual graduation that MCPS is coordinating, inside that program will also be pieces that are unique to BCC. So some of those pieces will include speeches from our senior officers, musical selections from, excuse me, from our choral and music programs. We will actually be able to display all of our graduating seniors' pictures and have their names read aloud, and we'll actually be able to have staff remarks. So there will be a part of the program, again, that is MCPS general, and then a part of it, a significant part of it actually, that is BCC specific, where we're honoring our graduates in that way. The graduation planning committee for BCC actually met earlier today, and we've already started the process of pulling together what our portion of that program will look like in terms of how we can make it best align with what a traditional graduation at DAR Constitution Hall would look like. We are looking to share as much information about that as soon as we can. We just have to get an answer to a few more questions before we really have details to share out about that. But we are currently in that planning process and working on that. Another important thing that goes along with that I don't have addressed on the slides anywhere, though, is the idea of caps and gowns. That's been a question that Mr. Levine and I have received several times over the last few days. We are not currently in possession of our caps and gowns. They aren't even at our representative with Herff Jones yet. As soon as he gets them, he will be processing them and getting them to us. And we are committed to making sure that our students have caps and gowns in their hands prior to the graduation ceremony, which would be in early June. That date has not yet been determined, but we are committed to making sure that's happening. So we will be working on that process and what that might look like and how we're getting those caps and gowns into our students' hands prior to graduation so that they have them for that ceremony. The next part I want to come back to is just that idea of Chromebook and Wi-Fi hotspot distribution. It's something I've said in every one of these meetings that I've done, but I do think it's important to say again for everyone. We are now distributing Chromebooks and hotspots every Tuesday at BCC from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We are encouraging people to let us know if they're going to come get a Chromebook or a hotspot. That's just so that we make sure that we have an appropriate supply. Right now, we have plenty and are able to walk in, accommodate walk-in requests. For example, if you wake up on a Tuesday morning or a child wakes up on a Tuesday morning and their Chromebook's not working or internet is suddenly not working and you need access to that, we could definitely accommodate that now, but we don't want to be in a position where someone would show up that we didn't know about and we didn't have devices for them. So we're asking everyone, if you know in advance that you're going to need access to some of that technology and you'd like to come pick it up from us, that you contact your grade level administrator for support and to make sure that you get on our list for those items. And another part, again, I mentioned it every time since it's come out, but I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the technical support number for troubleshooting for Chromebook and Wi-Fi hotspots. So parents and students can call the number that's on the screen. For those of you who are calling in, it's 240-740-7022. You can call that number. You actually leave a message in either English or Spanish, and then someone calls you back to help you troubleshoot your problem. Again, that number is 240-740-7022. Another reminder I just want to make sure everyone has. So some students received a grade of incomplete at the end of the third marking period. That was because either, there are a lot of factors. Some students hadn't engaged in online learning because of various factors, or work that needed to be submitted from before the school closure on March 13th. There are a couple of deadlines that we're working with in terms of really resolving those incompletes. The first is coming up on us really quickly. If you're a parent of a senior, or if you're a senior happening to be listening in on this call, that deadline is this Friday. So make sure that you've talked with your teachers about what you need to do if you have an incomplete, if you're a senior. For underclassmen, that deadline is actually next Friday, May 22nd. Regardless of what sort of situation you fall into, if you have a question about if you received an incomplete, or if you don't know what your child's plan is to resolve that incomplete, please reach out to the teacher. Each teacher was working with students to develop a plan for how to resolve the incompletes, and that's not centrally housed. If you're having trouble getting in touch with the teacher, definitely reach out to me and we'll facilitate that. But none of the administrative team have specific question or specific answers about specific students in their classes in terms of incompletes, because that was a teacher-led initiative along with students. In terms of fourth marking period, I just want to go back to, again, the information that MCPS has shared with for fourth marking period grades. So fourth marking period for all students is a combination of pass or incomplete. Those are the two grade options for the fourth marking period. And a student can earn a pass by meeting at least two of the four criteria that MCPS set forth. The first criteria is completing at least 50% of their assignments. The second criteria is demonstrating an understanding of concepts or skills. The third criteria is consistently engaging in check-ins and communication with the teacher. And the fourth allows the teacher to use their professional judgment to benefit the student in case one of the other three criteria have not been met. That's the guidance that MCPS is working with, has provided us. We are still using our gradebook in our traditional way to provide students with feedback and parents. An important note that you should make as you're looking at your students' grades through the portal or what you might be seeing when you're talking with them is, if an assignment is blank, it means one of two things. Either the student hasn't turned it in, or that the teacher has not yet graded it. You need to double check if there are blanks in the assignments in the grade book. Double check with your student that they've turned those assignments in, so we can ensure that there are no gaps there. We are not using the Z that you might have seen prior in the grade book in the way that it has been used in the past. This is an important update from yesterday's Board of Education meeting. So yesterday, the Board of Education voted to allow students to choose how a final grade in marking period 4 of pass would impact their transcript. And they actually voted to let students at the secondary level choose this on a class-by-class basis. And I have a slide that I'm going to share, and this is directly from the communication that MCPS sent out. But I want to talk through those options there. So if you're looking at the screen now, and if you're on the phone, I'm going to talk about what's on there. the screen shows the MCPS slide that says final letter grade higher than marking period 3 or pass, and students will get a choice. And the goal is for the students to be able to improve their GPA, that it will recognize marking period 3 work, but also allows the final grade to be higher, helps encourage students to be more motivated to pass during the 4th marking period, and allows students to be able to recover if they feel that the 3rd marking period was not an accurate representation of their work. And they can have a letter grade on their transcript only if it's to their benefit. Otherwise, their grade would be reported as a pass. So then there are 2 other boxes that are on this screen, but the most important one is the one in the bottom right, which shows the impact that would have on students' grades on their transcript. Again, that's what we're talking about, the transcript grade. So going back, just as a reminder, traditionally transcript grades are a combination of the 3rd and 4th marking period. So if a student earned a B in the 3rd marking period and then an A in the 4th marking period, then their final grade would be an A on their transcript. This chart shows that, you know, the combination of possible grades that a student could have based on their 3rd marking period and their 4th marking period grades. So if a student earned an A in the 3rd marking period and a pass in the 4th marking period, they could choose to either have an A or a pass on their final transcript. If they earned a B in the 3rd marking period and a pass in the 4th marking period, they could choose to have either an A or a pass on their final transcript. If they earned a C in the 3rd marking period and a pass in the 4th marking period, they could choose to either have a B or a pass on the final marking period, on their transcript rather, I apologize. If they earned a D in the 3rd marking period and a pass in the 4th marking period, they could choose to either have a C or a pass on their transcript. And if they earned an E in the 3rd marking period and a pass in the 4th marking period, they could choose to either have a D or a pass on their transcript as their final grade. I know it's a lot of words, but really what we're looking at is what is in what best benefits the students. If letter grades are chosen, they will be used and calculated into grade point averages. The pass grades will not be indicated in the grade point averages, but there will be a note for all semester grades on transcripts about the COVID-19 crisis on all transcripts that are impacted by this. So that's an important thing for that. As of now, we do not fully know how students are going to indicate what their choice is, if they are going to be asked to choose after final grades are out so that they would know what would be appearing on their transcript. But we do know that it is going to be a case-by-case basis, a class-by-class basis. So I will share more information about that as I learn about that. So another item I'd like to talk about is some of the traditional summer programs, local summer programs that are held at BCC. Typically, we run about 10 to 12 programs, a 9th grade summer academy, a 10th grade summer academy, an IB academy, lots of bridge support sessions, items such as that. Right now, all of those are still being processed, and we're looking at how we can transition those to online learning if necessary. If you're reading the screen, you say that they're being evaluated for probable transition to online learning. I just want to make sure that's my prediction, is that we will need to make that transition. There is a local summer class that we have offered traditionally at BCC, which is honors health class that has already filled. 2 sections actually have already filled, and we're considering whether or not we might offer a 3rd section. That's still up in the air because it does have impact actually on our regular school year scheduling, our staffing, and how we have received our allotment of teachers. So we've got to evaluate all of those impacts as we look at whether or not we might open up a 3rd section of that online health class that is local at BCC. So that's a long way of me saying that if your child was planning to be involved in one of the local summer programs at BCC, we're still hoping to have those. They will probably look a lot different than they have in the past. and probably be a lot more online, but we're going to be sharing more information about that as we know about what our access to the building will look like. So the only new parent question that I actually had in the forum was a question about what might instruction look like in the fall if online learning is still going on. And that's a good question that I'm not sure that any of us really have the answer to. I believe, my hope is also that, if we find ourselves in the same situation in the fall, that there will be much more structured opportunities, and that we'll have more time over the summer to do both professional development and to engage in planning around what that instruction might look like. But at this time, I don't know what that might look like. If you have had an opportunity to look at the Maryland State Department of Education's, I don't remember what the document is called, but basically their guide to how schools might reopen. There are a lot of options that they talk about in there, including A day, B day, or alternating week schedules, or there are a lot of different options. I have not been part of any discussions or had any inklings from anyone in MCPS about what might be considered from that document for either BCC specifically or any MCPS school. But I know that there are people engaged in those conversations, because we definitely want to make sure that we are well planned for that and be able to offer the best possible instruction that we can. And that is the only question I had that I was answering today from that chat. But I do want to come back to, again, something that I say at the end of every one. The most important thing that we have is the contact that we have with you and our students. We're in a position right now where we don't get to see students. We don't get to ask them questions as much. We don't get to interact with them and really touch base with them in a regular way. So we are relying a lot on parents to help us make those connections and make sure that what's going on in terms of learning that we are all aware of. So I want to encourage you to reach out to me, reach out to your child's teachers, reach out to the grade level administrator if you have any questions or concerns. Just put on the screen right now my name, and then all of the grade level administrators. So Mr. Levine is the 12th grade administrator. Mr. Nelson is the 11th grade administrator. Ms. Sutton is the 10th grade administrator. And Dr. McGarwa is the 9th grade administrator. All of our email addresses are available on the BCC website, as are the email addresses of every teacher. Please reach out to us if you have any questions or if there's anything that we can help you with in terms of things that are going on. We really appreciate you joining us. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And at this time, we are going to end the meeting. I will be conducting this meeting again tomorrow afternoon at 2:15. The information will be largely the same. That's important. I know some people, as I look at names on the screen, have been attending multiple sessions, and probably you've noticed that the sessions are the same for the whole week. The only difference for that would be if I find information out from MCPS that directly changes something that I have shared with you today. I will not put out incorrect information, so I would make that change. But I am also uploading all of these to YouTube and posting them so that they're available for everyone. So thank you all for joining us today. I hope that you have a great rest of your morning, the next 20 minutes of it or so, and a good afternoon. And I hope to be able to see you all again soon. Thank you so much.